They said my birthdays were too expensive. Then threw Emma a party with a live band and fireworks. So this year, I didn't argue. I just booked a first-class seat to Tokyo. When I posted the view from my penthouse, their calls came faster than the elevator I'd just stepped out of. Where are you? How could you afford this? Are you in trouble? I sipped champagne, smiled at the skyline, and turned my phone face down. Let them wonder. For once, the silence was mine to keep. My name is Deborah, the older daughter in what everyone calls a lovely family, the one who stopped asking to be celebrated and learned how to do it herself. Have you ever faced something like this? Tell me in the comments. They wanted quiet. I chose a city that never whispers. From the outside, we looked perfect. Nice house, family vacations. My parents, David and Linda, always smiling beside my younger sister, Emma. But if you zoomed in, you'd see the quiet imbalance shaping everything. When I turned 10, Emma got a princess party with a bouncy castle, magician, and photographer. 4 months later, I got a homemade cake and a $5 Target card. Sweetheart, we just can't afford big parties all the time. You understand, right? I was 8. I didn't, but I nodded. Because good girls don't make things harder. That became the script. Emma got roller rinks, DJs, and custom cakes. I got chain restaurants and candle wax on plastic tables. Every excuse felt rehearsed. Money's tight this year. Deborah's mature. She doesn't need flashy things. But somehow, money was never tight for Emma. By high school, her birthdays were events people talked about for weeks. Professional photos, themed decorations, guest lists that filled the house. For her sweet 16, they rented a ballroom. For my 18th, we went to Olive Garden. Mom smiled like that made us even. You're the grounded one, honey. You don't need attention to feel loved. But it didn't feel like love. It felt like absence. Like my name only echoed when Emma's wasn't in the room. Like existing quietly was the only way to stay accepted. Every time people said, "You have such a close family," I wanted to laugh. They saw photos. I lived the distance. By the time I left for college, I'd already learned to lower my expectations. No one forgets your birthday if you never expect them to remember. Every dinner, every forced smile, every candle I blew out alone. I told myself it didn't matter. But deep down, it did. It always did. I thought someday they'd notice. They never did. College was supposed to be a new start. A clean slate. But even there, I carried the old imbalance with me. While Emma got her tuition covered and a monthly allowance, I worked 3 part-time jobs. Library, coffee shop, tutoring on weekends. My paychecks went straight to rent and loans. When Emma called crying about her grades, Mom wired her $500 for comfort. When I called about my broken laptop, Mom said, "Can you wait till your next paycheck?" I stopped calling after that. Graduation came. I walked the stage in a thrift store dress, and dinner afterward was, you guessed it, Olive Garden. 3 years later, Emma's C-average degree earned her a party bigger than most weddings. A red carpet, a videographer, a champagne tower. Dad gave a speech about how proud they were of her resilience. I smiled like always and applauded. Like always. But something inside me cracked that night. A quiet sound. Like glass giving way under too much weight. So I started keeping track. I made spreadsheets, venues, catering, decorations, costs. Emma's sweet 16, $8,000. Her 21st, nearly $12,000. My birthdays combined, maybe $2,000. That's when I realized it wasn't about money. It was about value. I read about golden child and scapegoat roles in families. I joined forums for people raised in that dynamic. Stories just like mine. Different names, same ache. It was comforting and horrifying all at once. We'd all been told the same lie. You're the mature one. Translation, you're easier to neglect. But instead of drowning in resentment, I decided to study it, understand it, and then quietly outgrow it. That's how Operation Self-Worth began. I opened a separate savings account, my someday fund. Every dollar was proof that I mattered. I cut back ruthlessly. No Netflix, no takeout, no spontaneous shopping. Each sacrifice felt like a brick in my escape route. When my parents asked me to help with Emma's next party, I said, "Sorry, I'm busy." The table went silent. For once, my no echoed louder than any apology. I journaled every slight, every "we can't afford that," followed by another check written for Emma. I saved receipts from my birthday dinners and screenshots of her party plans. The paper trail of inequality. It didn't make me bitter. It made me precise and patient. Because the longer I stayed quiet, the clearer my focus became. I wasn't just saving money. I was saving myself. If they wouldn't celebrate me, I'd learn to do it myself. 6 months into Operation Self-Worth, things began to shift. Not outwardly. My parents still praised Emma for breathing. But inside me, something hard and quiet was forming. When Mom said, "Emma's 23rd birthday is coming up, we'll need your help," I smiled politely and said, "Not this year." The silence that followed could have frozen air. "You've become so selfish lately," she hissed. "Maybe I've just stopped being everyone else's background noise," I replied. They didn't know what to do with that. Then came the invitations. Gold foil, embossed, custom calligraphy. Emma. Through the ages, the theme read. A decade's worth of favoritism dressed up as nostalgia. I helped when asked, cut ribbons, carried boxes, because refusing completely would have exposed my plan too soon. But while they obsessed over flower arrangements and champagne, I was counting costs. The florist's bill alone was more than 3 of my birthdays combined. The night of her party, the mansion gleamed like a movie set. Crystal chandeliers, string quartet, a photographer capturing every perfect moment. Mom cried during her toast. Dad said, "Emma, you've always been our sunshine." I watched from the edge of the crowd, the music thumping through my chest like a memory I never owned. Every laugh, every flash from the photographer's camera felt like proof that I'd been edited out of my own story. People said, "You must be so proud of your sister." I smiled, pretending I didn't feel invisible under the chandelier's glow. That was the moment I knew I couldn't stay small anymore. I sat at my assigned table, not the family table, and watched it all unfold through the lens of 26 forgotten candles. That's when the final decision crystallized. Tokyo. Not just as a trip, as a statement, as a quiet explosion they couldn't ignore. I didn't want revenge that burned bridges. I wanted revenge that rebuilt me. Every plane ticket, every meal, every sunrise would say what I never could. I was worth celebrating. For the next year, I lived like a monk. No coffee runs, no vacations, no splurges. I worked late, took freelance projects, saved every cent. When coworkers asked why, I said, "I'm building something." They thought I meant a startup. By month 12, I'd built enough to buy back my self-worth. Flights, hotels, experiences. Every detail planned with surgical precision. I stopped responding to group texts, skipped family dinners. My absence became background noise, and they barely noticed. Until I requested vacation time at work. 2 weeks in Japan, starting on my birthday. My manager smiled. "You've earned it," she said. She had no idea how true that was. The night before I left, Emma asked for help choosing a dress for her next theme. Hollywood glamour. I said, "Sorry, I'll be busy." She frowned. "Doing what?" "Something different." She laughed, thinking I was joking. But this time, the punchline wasn't on me. They'd never see it coming, but they'd see it all. The flight to Tokyo felt like stepping into someone else's life. A life that finally fit. First-class seat, champagne. A name spoken with respect. When I landed, the city glowed like it had been waiting for me. My suite on the 40th floor overlooked a skyline made of light. The bed was soft, the silence was earned. For once, everything around me said, "You made it." That morning, I posted one photo. A glass of champagne, the Tokyo skyline beyond it. Captioned simply, 26 never felt so good. #Tokyo views now are worth the wait. 9 hours later, my phone exploded. 47 missed calls. Hundreds of messages. Mom, Dad, Emma. Where are you? How did you pay for this? Are you in trouble? I wasn't. For the first time, I wasn't in trouble. They were. Their perfect story was cracking. Aunt Carol commented, "Wait, Deborah's in Tokyo? I thought she hated big celebrations." Uncle Tom replied, "Maybe she just never got the chance." The family group chat melted down in real time. Cousin Rachel joined in. Looks like the family's budget magically recovered. Mom's friend Patricia wrote, "Linda, didn't you say Deborah preferred quiet birthdays?" The comments stacked like receipts no one wanted to claim. Each notification felt like a small vindication. Years of silence finally speaking for me. I didn't reply. I didn't have to. Emma called 12 times before I finally answered. "Deborah, what the hell are you doing?" "Celebrating." "In Tokyo?" I sipped my drink. "You noticed." She tried to sound calm, but her voice cracked. "Everyone's talking about this. You're embarrassing Mom." "I'm embarrassing her by existing happily?" "By making it obvious," she whispered. "Obvious that what?" "That things weren't equal." There it was. The truth. Small and trembling. "Emma," I said softly, "I didn't make it obvious. You did. Every year since we were kids." She went silent. Then, "You're being selfish." My party is in 2 weeks. Then maybe it's time you learn what being second feels like. Click. Mom called next. Deborah Elizabeth, you call me right now. I'm on the phone, Mom. What are you doing? Flying to Japan alone? Do you know how this looks? Liberating. Are you in debt? Did someone give you money? Yes, me. Her voice cracked. This isn't you. No, Mom, this is me. The version you never bothered to see. I set the phone down, opened the curtains wide, and let Tokyo pour into the room like light through glass. The city didn't ask for permission to shine. Neither would I. For the first time, I felt seen, even if the only person seeing me was me. I hung up, blocked them all on Instagram, and opened the curtains to the city below. Tokyo glittered, endless and alive. For once, I wasn't the afterthought in someone else's story. I was the headline. And the best part? I didn't owe anyone an explanation. For once, their silence wasn't mine to carry. When I came home, everything looked smaller. My apartment, my worries, even the memories that used to crush me. Tokyo hadn't changed my family. It had changed me. Emma texted 3 days later. Can we talk? Really talk? When she showed up at my door, she looked exhausted. The kind of tired that comes from realizing you've been the favorite. For all the wrong reasons, she sat at my table and cried. I canceled my party, she said. I couldn't celebrate while pretending everything was fair. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. Then she whispered, I never asked why you didn't get what I did. I just didn't want to see it. That hurt more than I expected. But it was also the truth. We talked for hours. About birthdays, college, money, silence. About how love isn't love if it comes with hierarchy. And for the first time, I saw my sister as someone human. Not the golden child. Not the villain. Just another person raised to believe I could handle less. Mom and Dad eventually called. They wanted to fix things. I didn't need fixing anymore. So when my 27th birthday came, they threw me a party. Nothing extravagant, just music, laughter, a real cake. And for once, no comparisons. But honestly, Tokyo was still my favorite. Because that was the year I stopped waiting for permission. The year I stopped needing witnesses to feel worthy. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud. It's peace. It's joy without explanation. It's learning that love doesn't have to be earned. If you've ever felt overlooked, tell me in the comments. If you've been through this, you're not alone. Sometimes the best revenge is just living beautifully before saying goodbye. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Don't forget to subscribe for more true family betrayal stories. That reminds us we are stronger than we think.